Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95, the Savior. So this is a very sensitive and touchy topic that I want to get on in this video, and I want to talk to you guys about spouse visas in Japan. So, what I want to let you guys know is I know a lot of you guys, whether you've said it or not, this question gets asked a lot online. And while no one has personally sent me an email about this, I personally want to talk about this. I'll be honest, I'm not going to lie and pretend like somebody's been asking me. Thankfully, nobody hasn't yet, but I know that this is a question on a lot of people's mind and a thought that a lot of people have had. And I want to let you guys know that this is not a good idea. A lot of people want to come to Japan and they plan to get a spouse visa in order, to work here without graduating from school. It's the cheapest way to do it, to be honest. You don't need the money that you need for a student visa. There's no amount needed in your bank account. You don't need a degree. And it pretty much allows you to do everything. It's like the golden gaijin card. You can do any field of work, etc. But I feel like what a lot of people don't talk about is that there is a little bit more to it. So first things first, I think it's morally wrong. I think we can all agree on that. Getting married to someone that you don't really love is ultimately you're playing yourself more than you are immigration or anyone else. You're probably not ready to get married, and you're probably not going to have the money to have a legitimate wedding, to have, real rings or anything else. And I know that people say, oh, I don't care about rings, I don't care about a wedding. Okay, then why are you getting married right now then? Still. If you don't care about those materialistic things, why do you care about a certificate that says you guys are a couple? If we were to all be real with ourselves, we can all just say, you're not getting married because you just graduated from school and you're trying to find a job and this is going to make things easier. You're getting married because it's convenient. It's a marriage of convenience. And nobody wants to use those terms. Everybody wants to say, oh, I move fast in my relationships, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this in the past. And like I said, that's between you and God. You're fooling nobody but yourself. It's very obvious that you don't know the person that you're trying to marry, and that if you guys were to live in your home country, you wouldn't feel so rushed had they not been Japanese and had you not been trying to get this visa if you knew you weren't going to get it. So, again, it's morally wrong to marry someone that you don't really love, don't really like, or that you really love, but you know you're not ready to get married to them. This is how a lot of foreigners actually get to Japan and how they stay here. So you won't be alone if you do this. But as I've talked about before, it's very, very risky. All it takes is for your partner to get mad at you, or for a friend or a family member or anybody to report you to immigration, which is very easy to do. They actually have an 800 number by Japanese standards that you can call to snitch on people. Yeah, and they take it very seriously. You can get fined, deported, and humiliated by being put in the newspaper and on TV for your sham marriage. Is it going to be worth it then when you have a 10-year ban where you can't come back to Japan? And then if you do come back, you'll have difficulty with finding a job or a house or even getting your visa to enter the country. Because now they know that you are willing to go through illegal means to stay here. And again, that's totally up to you. That's between you and God. I'm not going to get involved. I'm telling you, I'm not even going to throw any real shade at you. I'm just telling you to think about this before you choose to do something so drastic and risky. Keep in mind that you're not dealing with your school or whatever. This is the government, the Japanese government, that you're trying to fool and trick with your fake marriage. So before you do anything radical and drastic, do you really want the government to get involved? You probably don't. It also reinforces the stereotype that, most foreigners are coming here because of their yellow fever, quickly get married, whatever, and it's stupid. And so beyond what other people think of you, beyond, what's morally right or wrong, I want to let you guys know that having a spouse visa is not all cupcakes and rainbows like how a lot of people seem to think. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people think that, spouse visa can replace having a degree, and while it can for giving you the visa that you want to keep in mind that your spouse visa is almost entirely dependent on your relationship. It is possible to get permission to stay in Japan after your marriage has fallen apart, or if they choose to leave you, divorce you, whatever. But it is not always an easy thing to do. You will have to prove that your relationship was real and that it was valid, and basically have a real reason for why you still want to stay here even although you guys are divorced. So it's not always difficult, but it can be depending on your race, your country of origin, your language, etc. And again, You don't want to be in a situation where you are at the mercy of the government to decide whether you can stay here or not, especially after you've already built yourself a life. You also want to keep in mind that having kids is not a joke. So you choosing to get married out of convenience, in particular if you are a man, you are probably married to a girl that you don't really like, who's probably fat, ugly, a lot older than you, or whatever the case is. Thus, she's probably going to be in a rush. Oh my god, I finally have a white husband. I want to have mixed hafu babies so bad. And now you're having children. And you have to keep in mind that you're bringing real people into this world. This is no longer just you and immigration playing a game of, sham marriages. Now you have real children with someone that you may or may not really know, may or may not really love, and if for any reason your marriage is messed up, and if for any reason you are a real man and you have a heart, you would not want her to run off with your children, which is totally legal in Japan. You can legally kidnap your children away from your spouse, even against court orders, and they would do nothing to help you. There are literally stories, forums, both in the newspaper, both in forums that you can access online right now from your Google search bar, in which you can read about white foreigners, not black people, because I know some white person will, oh, that's just you niggers. Fuck you. I'm talking about you guys that will, tell you like, oh, I got married to this woman back in whatever year, and she ran off with our kids. I thought our relationship was just fine. I don't know where she is. I haven't seen my children in 15 years. Then you have people that, they know that their relationship was bad. They got a divorce, but they were granted custody or a joint custody or whatever the case was. And their wife didn't abide by this, ran off, took the kids, and they have not seen them since. Or people that even got back in contact with their children as adults, and now their kids no longer speak English. They seem disinterested in getting to know their father. And don't get wrong, ladies, this can happen to you too. You can also have your children taken away from you. I think this is a lot less likely to happen for women, but it most certainly can, especially if, he's really close to his parents, like most Japanese people are. They can encourage him to basically kidnap the kids. So you have to be very careful with visitation. They can literally claim to be going to see grandma, and then you never see them again. So that's a really messy situation that you can find yourself in. And while I don't, want that to happen to you, you have to keep in mind that it can happen. Not to say that divorce doesn't exist in America or whatever country you're from, but it is a whole nother game here in Japan. And the stuff that they have that's legal is ridiculous for a first world country, such as the fact that you can even do this and there not be any real consequences. They don't really view it as kidnapping because that's the child's parent. And as for why they are willing to let this go on, even if it's ignoring court orders, it's beyond me. I don't fully understand it, but this is something that's very real. I actually met a guy at one of my last share houses just this year, he was from Canada, had a whole long conversation with me. He was almost 50 years old, if I recall, like 47, 48. He had been married for 10 plus years, didn't speak a lick of Japanese. His wife got up, left, took the kids. He has no idea where they are. She basically broke everything. They filed for a divorce. They got, a legal divorce or whatever. But he didn't see this coming. He thought they were going to have, he was going to have visitation with them. And the whole thing just got really, really messy, you guys. And he's not the only person. This happens to black people too, and all kinds of people. You really, really, really want to be careful. You might think you know these women. You might think you know these men, but you do not. You will see a whole other side of them when you go through a divorce. Just like in America. When people get married, they don't envision their divorce. Most people don't. They imagine that they married the right one, the perfect one. You cannot have possibly imagined that this was the right one when you guys barely know each other. You only dated online for 6 years, or you just met this person online a week ago, or you just met them at a bar a month ago, and now you're getting married. Even people that live in Japan, they will have relationships with a person for a year and quickly get married. And I think they feel like it's justified because they were on their student visa or they had a work visa for a year. But it's like, you can fool immigration, but you're not fooling me. You just made it simple so that you don't have to go through the whole renewal process of your work visa or student visa. Now you have a spouse visa that is easier to renew, good for longer, no proof of anything, no documents needed, no nothing. All you need is a spouse. So beyond just the potential for kidnappings and messy divorces and being morally wrong, I want to remind a lot of you guys that you will not necessarily have an easy time finding a job. A spouse visa does not replace a degree. It does for, getting your visa to live in Japan, but it does not equal work experience. Now, don't get me wrong, you can very much indeed get a job on a spouse visa, but you would generally still have to work your way from the bottom to climb up to the top, because most of the good positions in Japan, that is those that pay more than just $2,500 a month, they're not going to give you a good position or a good salary when you have no work experience, you have no relevant degree, and all you can say is, oh, my wife is Japanese. Okay? They're going to give you the lowest salary possible. So you're looking at making either $2,000 or less and no more than maybe $2,700, $2,800. And that's like at the absolute max, which that's a kind of okay salary if you're living alone, but not if you're living in Tokyo. Not if you have a wife to support, not if you have kids to support. So the joke is really on you. So now you don't have freedom. You're always living, having to look over your shoulder and see, hey, does somebody know about my fake marriage? Is she gonna snitch on me? Is her family gonna get mad? Is one of my friends going to? You have to watch who you tell, about your relationship. So there's so much stuff, so much covering up, your tracks and footprints that you have to do. It's not really fun. And the other big thing is, a lot of people come to Japan thinking they want to be here so desperately that they are willing to get into these fake relationships, and they change their mind. They realize Japan is not what they thought it was. It gets old, and they decide they want to go back home. A lot of people have, this idea of what they imagine Japanese women being like and what they imagine Japanese men being like. And the reality is they're nothing like what you see online. I'm not just talking about what, manga or, J-pop or whatever. But I think a lot of people, even beyond just porn, stereotypes they've been taught, such as, about how, humble and, submissive they are. And as far as things go for men, they envision this man that wears this nice suit and tie with a briefcase to work and brings home a good salary, and he hands you his paycheck and you get to decide how it's spent. This is not traditional relationships in Japan. And keep in mind, once again, you are a foreigner, so things that they would have done with their Japanese spouse, they may or may not do with you. And one of the biggest and funniest stereotypes that you can read about online and have it debunked is people think that Japanese women are submissive. They will play the same game that white women play in America or any other race of women. I'm saying white because that's what most of the country is, and most of the people watching my video are. They will say whatever it takes to get married to you. And after they get married, after you, help her to produce those cute little half babies, she's done. Sex will come to a halt. She will become angry, no more cooking you meals. She's irritable, doesn't want to have sex, doesn't care about you. And now your relationship is deteriorating and going to crap. And now you want a divorce. Or maybe she wants a divorce. She finally tells you how she really feels. Your little IT job sucks. You don't have a degree. You're a loser. Now she tells you how she really feels. Same thing goes for a man. Maybe he was okay with you at first, but now he's like, you need to go on a diet. You're too fat. You're uneducated. You're whatever the case is. Japanese people are human, you guys. They're not these little, clown dolls that you buy from the dollar store. They're real people, okay? They have real feelings. They have real emotion. And they are not like how you stereotypically see on TV. Do not believe these dumb YouTube channels and dumb blogs and forums in which there's, people showing you all the great and joyous things of Japan and showing you how hot their Japanese spouse is. Because the reality is, to be honest with you guys, a lot of the people, I'm guilty of this too. I'm not trying to act like I'm better than other people, but just being real. A lot of the people that you guys think are attractive and cute, they are ugly as fuck by Japanese standards. People that you drool over, oh my god, he's so handsome. A Japanese person will be like, you like him? Ew, he's hideous. They'll pick apart the whole looks of a guy. And it goes vice versa. Guys that I see that are hideous, and it's like, ew, you like him? Wait, he's hot because he has blonde hair? He's balding, for God's sake, and he's only 25 years old. So, anyway, we both have totally different standards for what we find to be attractive. And so, even as far as that goes, you would change what you find cute. You might have been so desperate to get your visa that you were willing to marry that woman that's 30 years older than you, or you married that 60-year-old man to get that spouse visa. But once you come to Japan, you will have people that you think are out of your league that are now interested in you, that find you hot, that find you attractive. You will have people that are younger, that have more money, etc., that like you. And you might feel tempted to get a divorce. And while this might sound like, okay, fine, isn't that a good thing? Well, now you risk your partner going, batshit crazy and trying to sell you out and claim that you paid them off or did whatever to immigration. This whole thing could just potentially be very messy. Does it happen all the time? No. But again, you don't want to be that one person that it does happen to. Particularly if you are someone that's more desperate, such as someone that's not from a native English-speaking country. And with that said, because it's so much harder for you to obviously get a work visa or even to afford the student visa, you might find that it's worth it to have a shared marriage. Well, now if you do get called out, immigration is unfortunately going to be a lot harder on you because they unconsciously and sometimes consciously stereotype. I told you guys about my experience with doctors here and even my landlord at my current place who have ignorantly expressed that they don't trust Chinese and Korean people. And Chinese and Korean people that are in Japan normally aren't poor. They come from, nice areas, big cities, and families that have money. And even with that said and done, they have already brainwashed themselves and told themselves all Chinese people here are scamming us. All Korean people here are dirty, filthy liars. They're scam artists, etc. This is not just politics, you guys. Regular, everyday people think this. You can read in forums, etc., and it looks like, oh, these are just Japanese nationalists and crazy white guys that think they're Japanese. No, I promise to God. Unfortunately, it is not just political stuff. People literally make fun of Chinese and Korean people in every day-to-day stuff. The whole K-pop whatever thing, they separate their love for the music from the people. Very similarly to how Americans can separate their love for hip-hop culture, and wanting to look black with the full lip injections and getting fake asses, etc., by convincing themselves that they want these things because of Kim Kardashian. And with that said, even if that is really the case, you get what I'm saying? People like black culture, but not black people. Well, Japanese people like Korean fashion. They like Korean music. Some of them do. But they don't care for Korean people. A lot of people will even openly say it. I can be totally honest with you guys. I think pretty much every person that I've dated, probably with the exception of Sham, has openly said, and I honestly don't know his opinion on this. I'm not even gonna lie on him on this behalf. They have openly said, I will never date or marry a Chinese person. I will never date or marry a Korean person. And it's like, whoa, that's pretty strong, even if the person is attractive. And to be honest, I could say this leaks over into black people too. But I feel like with black people, this is more so because their perception of black people has been tainted. All they see are people that don't look attractive. They see people that look like, what's that guy's name? Bob Sapp, whatever his name is. That are ugly, that seem uneducated, stupid, and disease-ridden. This is what they see. But if they saw someone that was attractive, that, I'm just going to keep it 100% real, you guys. This is going to sound bad, but again, I'm not being PC. That had, light skin or pretty colored hair or light colored eyes or, that was in shape, that wasn't fat. Then they would change their mind and be like, oh, this person is attractive. They're not used to seeing black people that aren't ugly, that don't look, clown-like. I'm not going to get into a PC colorism war. I'm having a real talk conversation with you guys. And with that said, these are all things that you really want to consider, think about, keep in mind. Getting off subject, so what I was trying to say is immigration can and will probably be a lot harder with you. Most of the cases that I've read about with people getting found out for sham marriages have not been white people, not even black people, but have been other Asians. They are more likely to crack down on your case. Not to mention, it is well known that it is harder for someone who is not, from an English-speaking country to get these visas. Keep in mind that when I say Asian, it kind of varies. In this case, it actually does go for both Asian Americans, Asian Europeans, and people that are actually from Asian countries. But for the most part, if you are from America, Canada, the UK, etc., you're probably okay. But again, I told you guys, there was a very recent story about a girl that was Chinese Canadian, basically Canadian, who got deported. And I don't know if they fined her or whatever the case was, but they made a huge deal about it and they exposed her that she was here on a sham marriage. And her, just like a lot of other people, she started off with a student visa, which I think that gives a lot of people a sense of false security. You think that because you've already established a good track record, you came here as a student, that they will not further look into things, that it looks worse if you come to Japan just to get married. Which that's debatable, but the point is, it does not matter how you do it. If you are on a fake marriage, It can, and one day it will get exposed and brought to light. I hope for your sake that you don't get in trouble and that it doesn't lead to all of that. But this is why you don't get caught up in that stuff to begin with. And like I said, to be honest, it doesn't take the place of a degree. While a degree is just a requirement, for your work visa, people constantly say that, and I really have mixed feelings. Because there are more and more foreigners coming here, and even before there were more foreigners coming here, it is not a requirement, but it is a want and a demand that people have for English teachers. There's plenty of people here that can speak English. It's the business language of the world. If we want to narrow it down, there's even a good amount of people here that are from native English-speaking countries. But what there isn't is there is not a good amount of people that have relevant degrees or even, bachelor's or master's or doctorate degrees at all. And with that said, while you do have the requirements to work here and you do seem more stable because you are on a spouse visa, although that can end too, people, it's a stereotype that foreigners get divorces, both amongst the Japanese people and the foreign staff. They know that you're going to get a divorce in a couple of years and go home. Well, and even if you don't get a divorce, look at the YouTubers here that have kids. Almost all of the YouTubers that are foreigners that have had children since being in Japan, they go home for whatever reason. Generally, it's because they're lazy and they don't want to have to learn Japanese. They miss the convenience of having a car and they worry about what it's going to be like going to school, for their children being mixed. And I won't judge them because I don't have children. But my point is, there's a little bit of truth to the stereotype. They do tend to get a divorce. They do tend to go home. And we have seen that ourselves by looking at other YouTubers. I will not say any names, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. So, with that said, it won't stop you from getting a job. And I won't say that it's impossible, but it won't necessarily make it easy because now you have to fill in the gaps. You have no real work experience. You have no references. Forget about all of that stuff because most jobs don't even ask for that. But when it comes to teaching, you are going to be like a deer in headlights. And some places will fire you if you appear to be a bad teacher, right off the bat. You will have trouble putting together a demo lesson because you lack experience with these things. So, not that you can't get it. You can work your way from the bottom up. You can, volunteer or get a cheap, easy job at like Nova or GABA where the pay is really crappy and low. But, it'll give you work experience. In those places, they're notorious for hiring people on spouse visas. Those are normally the two first jobs that most people in Japan on a work visa get. They normally start off in Japan through the JET program, which does require, you to have a degree. But I'm saying people that come to Japan for work. They start off with Nova, GABA, the JET program, sometimes ECC, and I think Interact too, but I might be wrong about Interact. So that's that. Like I said, it's not really the ideal situation because you're at the mercy of your spouse. You are potentially bringing other people into this world for which you will be responsible for the rest of your life, whether you choose to financially support them and emotionally be there for them or not. You will have to go to sleep at night knowing that you have no contact with your children and can never find them again if you have a heart and care about them. And you risk getting exposed, getting deported, having a 10-year ban, and this is going to be on your permanent record. So really think about what you're doing. It's not worth it. Japan is not so great of a place that it's worth it to give up your rights as a human being and end up imprisoned. Or to, be a slave, a sex slave to somebody where you have to help this person push out babies. Or, you have to do whatever for this person. You have your entire life ahead of you. I don't care if you're 50 years old. You have a whole lifetime ahead of you to have children, to get married. Don't force it. I thought I wanted to, take that dumb route. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I did think about it. I became so desperate to come to Japan, and I'm so glad I snapped myself out of it. I worked my butt off. I saved money. I went to school. I'm still going to school, and now I am working. I've had the opportunity to get married several times since being here, and I've turned it down every single time. Even was offered a ring. And you want to know what? It's not worth it. I would rather have my freedom, make my own decisions, and get married when the time is right. And I'm glad that I chose to stick with that. You should do the same thing. There is no place, there is no country, there is no one, there's no anything that is worth giving up your rights, your freedom, your whatever. Japan is not an anime, you guys. It is not a video game. It is a beautiful country. It is full of beautiful people, delicious food, nice fashion, etc. But none of this stuff is worth it. If you want to come to Japan so bad, come here the right way. Get yourself a degree that can help you even if you go back home to your home country or go to any other country in the world. You can use your degree anywhere. It is so valuable. Choose to come here and go to school. Get an education here. You will find that after being here for a few months, a few years, it's not even worth all of that. You will change your mind. Do not give up part of your life. Do not make permanent decisions. Do not do things that are not morally, right, that you will have to answer to God for. And I don't care if you don't believe in God, like I said, that you'll have to answer to God for one day for your, poor decisions. Don't do anything out of desperation. And like I said, you'll find someone that really loves you and that really wants to marry you, and you'll be able to do things the right way at the right time. Do you really want to tell your kids years from now, oh yeah, I got married out of convenience? Or, oh yeah, we both move in our relationship really fast? Or do you want to have a real story to talk about how your husband really proposed to you? Do you want to be married for 30 days, 6 months, 2 years, or for the rest of your life? No, there's no guarantee that because you wait that it'll last forever. But why not set yourself up for the best situation possible? Why purposefully put yourself in a position where you know things are going to go bad? Or where you know you're being dishonest? You can lie to me in the comments. You can lie to your family. But you cannot lie to yourself. And you cannot lie to God. You are fooling no one. No one in this world. Do what you want. I cannot control you. I am not your mother. I can lead a horse to water. I cannot make it drink. You have to make your own decisions. But I'm telling you, a spouse visa is not all that it's cracked up to be. It will not replace work experience. Most jobs still want you to have a degree, still want you to have relevant work experience. And even if you get that relevant work experience, you will always play second or third fiddle to someone that has a relevant degree and that has work experience. Because now you only have a spouse visa. Sure, you worked for Nova, but this person worked for Nova, worked for this company and that company, and they have a degree in education. What do you have? A Japanese wife? A Japanese husband? So, who cares? Lots of foreigners do. You're not special. So, again, like I said, you're going to get tired of the whole porn, hentai type sex fantasy that you have inside your mind. It is going to get old. And you are also going to have to wake up and realize STDs are very much indeed real. And they're a lot more embarrassing in Japan than they are in America. Because testing is not readily available. People do not get it done here. And anybody that claims otherwise is a liar. You cannot get STD tests done here on a monthly basis. It does cost money. It is not $5. It's not cheap, you guys. And it's embarrassing, especially if you keep coming back to the same place. They'll think you have something or that you're a whore. Because, who needs this to be done even once? And why do you need this to be done on a regular basis? So, I applaud you for taking care of yourself if that's the route you choose to take. But it's not something that you want to do. There is more to life. I know it seems like it's not. Than just sex. Than just, your little yellow fever dreams that you have. You will go beyond, your little simple mindset that you have at the moment. You will grow from being here. Allow yourself to do it the right way. Come here on a work visa. Get yourself that degree. Instead of spending all your time on YouTube looking for some fat, ugly Japanese girl that's old enough to be your mother's mother. Find purpose in your own life. Work on your degree. Work on earning college credits. Save money to get to school here instead of trying to find a spouse out of desperation. Get yourself together. And then you can come here and not have to worry about your relationship. You don't have to worry about whether someone really loves you or likes you. You don't have to worry about somebody snitching on you. Because now you're here the right way. Your degree is real. Your work ethic, your life here is real. It is not dependent on someone else's love for you. So that is that. Like I said, it's very risky to come here on a fake visa. It does not replace work experience to have a spouse visa. It does not replace the requirement for a degree for jobs. It does give you the option to work, but most places still won't hire you. As I have said before, schools don't want to have to introduce you by saying, oh yeah, meet Sam. He's an American that has no degree, but his wife is Japanese. Yeah, he has a spouse visa. They want to be able to say, this is our teacher Sam. He's from New York, New York. He has a degree in such and such. Yes, he's so smart. Look at him. Oh my God, he's cute. Ikemen sensei. They want to be able to do stuff like that. They cannot do that for you if you are here on a spouse visa. They'll hire you anyway. You'll of course find a job somewhere. but you are not a competitive applicant by far. And even at the places that you do get hired, you will get the lowest salary possible if they offer flexibility on salaries. I will tell you guys something very interesting that I learned. I am actually being paid more than the person that hired me because I actually have a relevant degree. Go figure. And now I have a better understanding as to why I had difficulty getting the job that I have at this moment. So, again, do things at your own risk. Pick your own poison. I cannot tell you what to do or what not to do, in all honesty. I mean, I can't make you do it. I can tell you what to do, but you are an adult and you will have to make your own decisions. So I hope that you are wise, and I hope that you put yourself first. And remember that Japan will always be here. There's no rush to come here. Come here the right way. Protect yourself. Don't risk having jail time. Prison in Japan is not fun, and they do not have the same freedoms and laws that we do. It is a first world country, but you should do some research. Their prison and jail system is comparable to that of a third world country. So that is that. If you have any more questions, a personal question you want to ask, you can send it by email, or something that you like to state in public, you can leave a comment down below. Other than that, please like, comment, and if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I have a Snapchat and a Facebook page as well. The links to everything are down in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching. You can also check out my playlist that I have to you guys that talks about dating and work in Japan. I highly recommend that you check those out. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will watch another video. Goodbye.